Okay, let me kick it out. I'll tell you. You can probably see my screen here, right? Once it'll tell us when we're live. I thought it would just give me that. Share it to your page. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and we're going to go, once you'll see, we'll go live.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got.
You want me to stay on my headset?
And then and then I got to kick it out to YouTube as well.
Okay. So how many minutes do you need? A minute?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see my screen. It'll let you know when we go live.
We don't want too much pre-talk because if it's going to be random ads, right?
No, that's fine. It doesn't matter. This could be a half hour. Okay. We're live.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is Jason Fisher from timeandfreedom.com. And excited to have everybody on here today. We're going to be talking about the FTC new requirements that they are having all home-based business owners that are in the home-based business arena follow, and following meaning the guidelines that the FTC has put out. So we're going to be digging deep into that today. And again, appreciate everyone being on. So let's just give everybody a few moments to be able to get on, and welcome. If you are joining us at this moment, I can't see you, but welcome if you are joining us.
Yes, and just give me 1 second, Jay. We're just connecting a few things, guys, and then we're going to get rolling here. You could hear my audio well as well, Jay?
You sound wonderful. You sound good. You sound good. I look like I'm an air traffic controller with my headset. So
no, you are good.
But I'm coming in clear.
Connecting a few things on the back end here to get rolling, and we are set to roll. So I'm going to go full screen here. And guys, if you're on already, feel free. Let's see, insert, slide, view, present. Okay. And guys, if you aren't already, I actually can see Jay here comments on my other screen. If you're on already, feel free to comment where you're coming in from. And somebody says there, Azrael, no sound. I see Dave and Christine. Christine, can you hear our sound there? Just want to make sure our audio is coming in good. If somebody can comment there. Let's see. Azrael says here he could hear us now. Awesome. Awesome. So guys, we're excited to be here and kind of kick these off. And there's been a lot of stuff going on in the industry here, of the multi-level marketing and home-based business industry. And so we're excited to share this information. And if you've been paying attention the last couple of years, you realize there's a lot going on with the FTC and what's been going on with the Herbalife settlement and the Vemma settlement. And actually the other night on Netflix, I checked out Betting on Zero. It was the documentary put together all about the Herbalife lawsuit and the settlement with Bill Ackman. And guys, it was very, very well done. You can watch it on Netflix, or you could also go to, I wrote the domain down there, bettingonzeromovie.com. I would recommend everybody going and watching that. What, did my slides just kick off? Oh, there we go. I would recommend everybody go and watch that because it's really, 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 really important to kind of understand what's been going on. And I know, Jay, you took a look at that and watched that too. Any thoughts on that documentary?
I thought the documentary was great. I thought it was spot on. Just kind of gave a deeper in look of how the Herbalife business model worked and really what was taking place behind the scenes, behind Bill Ackman doing his research on the company. And I found it to be really, really on point.
Yeah. And it's just really, really sad. Guys, I think it's just really sad to see what was going on with that. Just to see how many lives actually got destroyed and hurt, and all the people that were coming forward. And sorry, I don't know if my screen keeps switching off for some reason. off the slide. So sorry if it, but we're back on there because I can see it on Facebook here. So, but it was really sad, guys, just to see what's going on and the people that got hurt and who lost $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, like their life savings put aside with all the broken promises and things that were going on. So we're going to dig into the Herbalife settlement and the Vemma settlement with the FTC and what it means for the future of the network marketing industry, guys, because the game is changing. Everything's changing. And most people are unaware of it today. So we're going to talk about the important points of the FTC ruling and the settlement with Herbalife. We're also going to talk about how this doesn't just affect Herbalife, but the entire MLM industry. And I think there's a lot of MLM company owners, CEOs that are telling people that are telling their distributors that we have nothing to worry about. It's just about Vemma. It's just about Herbalife. And guys, I think those are some of the biggest lies and some of the biggest deceptions out there. It's going to affect, and it has already started to affect the entire MLM industry, and know what the driving force is behind the FTC making these changes to the MLM business model, right? And why the MLM industry is in such big trouble. I mean, guys, I'm on social media a lot. I kind of see what everybody's talking about. Nobody's talking about this. There's a lot of people in the MLM industry and the network marketing industry that have no clue that this has been going on. This has been going on for 4 years. The settlement happened last summer. Last July is when the FTC ruled and settled on Herbalife, right? And there's still not a lot of talk. These CEOs are keeping it really, really, really quiet because they know if they do try to change, their business model is going to fail. So we're going to talk about that driving force of what's behind the FTC right now, and how to get prepared for the changes that are coming, and how to position yourself now to change it for, before the changes take place. It really all depends. I mean, if you're looking to do this, looking to build a part-time income or a full-time income the rest of your life, right? It's important to kind of know what's happening and the changes that are coming, so you can really protect yourself and you and your family.
Well, I think it's important that we start off by just sharing a little bit about ourselves, Eric. And my story is I got started back in the home-based business industry when I was 17 years old. I was in 11th grade, getting ready for college. Both my parents were school teachers, so going to college, getting an education was the route that I thought I was going to take. And I got introduced actually to the MLM industry back, like I said, when I was 17 years old. And that first business model that I was with for 11 and a half years was the Herbalife business model. And I had over 5,000 customers and distributors that were a part of my network during that time frame. And it literally went from 5,000 and dwindled down to 56 people that were active at the end. And I think one of the things that you said, Eric, before is just how many people's lives were destroyed in that process. And that might sound like a harsh word, but when you play on people's emotions and you start to get them to think a certain way, and then that is not the reality in the end, it really can harm people, not just financially, but emotionally. And we were taught that if we built a long-term residual income, that it would stay. And we would have repeat customers and distributors that would stay long-term. And it was nothing further than the truth, because at the end of that business, I had about 56 people active. And I don't care whether someone's a president's team, millionaire team, get team member. There is a constant churn effect, meaning that you do not have customers and distributors for the majority of the period of time that you're in any of these businesses. But I'm going to specifically talk about my story, that stay active. It's a constant in and a constant out. And I had that business built up to 5,000, dwindle down, built it back up, dwindle down, build it back up, dwindle down. Would go from about 150, 160,000 a month and see fluctuations in my organization that would drop to 80, or eventually towards the end drop to below 20. And when I really looked at it, there was no residual income, because there was no residual consumption long-term of not only the customers, but also the distributors promoting it. And I lost everything. And I didn't lose everything because of her, but I lost everything because I bought into the dream that if I built it once, that I would be able to build something consistently and compound on top of what I built. already. And that was nothing but further than the truth in that statement. And I lost my business. A lot of other people lost their business. There are more dead bodies on the side of the road than most people would want to admit or talk about that are currently still in this company. And it was sad, but I mean, I made over $1 million with my time there. I became a millionaire with that company. But it just didn't last long term. And that's really what we're talking about today, is making sure that people don't get hurt. And again, the promise of being pitched that it was residual income when there wasn't any residual income, because there was no residual consumption. And there's still today, Eric, even with the changes that they have had to abide by, there still is no residual consumption, which is what we're going to dig in today. But built a huge business, I loved aspects of that business that I still use today and the business that I'm in now. But that was my story, and, helped a lot of people become successful short term, but it wasn't long term.
Yeah. And Jay, I mean, you think about that, you think back, whatever that, 11, 12 or so years back when that was, and when things start to fall apart. And I mean, how many friendships and family relationships get hurt and damaged over that as well, because people, I know there are people in your business as well that had lost left jobs and to go full time. And, after a while that also starts to, I'm sure, weigh on you as well.
Without a doubt. We never really looked at, are the customers in the volume that was being produced, was it staying or was it just being replaced? And now that I look back, I don't know the exact number, but I'd say there was a churning effect where we had to replace that volume every few months. And if you didn't have something that was feeding that vehicle with replacing that volume, it eventually would fall apart. And that's what I think we all have to look at in whatever business we're in. That's great that we've got business going on now, whatever business we're in, but 60 days ago, 90 days, 120, 6 months ago, how much of that volume is still active that we built? Because if the number is low, then we really got to ask ourselves, is there any residual component to it? And I'll be honest, from my experience with that business, and it is the same thing today, even though it's changed a little bit on how they build it, there still is no long-term consumption.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. And guys, we're not just picking on Herbalife. We talk to a lot of networkers, a lot of multi-level marketers, and it's the same in all of them. It's there. Everybody's out there pitching residual income, but like Jay said, there's no long-term consumption. People are lucky. I mean, when I talk to networkers and kind of ask them, people that have been around a while and put some numbers in, and kind of ask them, usually what's the life expectancy of a customer or a distributor long term? And a lot of them, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. And it's just, we talk a lot about that on our website over at timeandfreedom.com, that it's the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the people get involved, and they're those people that don't do too much, and they don't have much sales experience, and they don't handle rejection very well. And they're just the average everyday person that's just looking to do something. And they get frustrated. They don't make any money. They quit. And when they quit, they quit usually in the first 30, 60, 90 days, the majority of them. And when they quit, the first thing they stop ordering are those products, because it never really truly made sense for them to just be a customer, because it was new money. It wasn't things they were already buying. And this is, guys, that's what the FTC is doing here. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But, I met Jay about 7.5 years ago. I was frustrated. I was burnt out. I was in multi-level marketing probably about at that time for about 6 years. And I got heavy into the internet side of things, and started working with some high-level marketers in that industry, in the internet side of network marketing, and started learning a lot from them and putting things into practice. And I started to have success with that, and started to build relationships there and do trainings for some of the top internet marketers at that time. But what I still saw was, all right, so now I found a new way to bring in people. I found a new way for lead generation, because everybody thinks that's the problem. But there was still a hole in the boat. The water was still leaking out. People were still going out 30, 60, 90 days later. The problem wasn't fixed. And that's, kind of where, about 7.5 years ago when I met Jay, and everything changed. It really opened my eyes to this information, and we're happy. We acknowledge the FTC for what they're doing right now. Because guys, the industry needs a cleanup. It's been around for 70 years and it's pretty damaging. I mean, everybody talks about all the good that's happened in the industry, but go Google MLM nightmares and horror stories and you'll see the truth. So we're going to dig into the lawsuit here really quick, guys. We're just going to touch on a few things. Towards the end of this, we're actually going to have a little download for you where you can get a full detailed little booklet that will go through the Herbalife and Vemma lawsuit and all of that information. So you'll know really what's going on, how to educate yourself and how to protect yourself. But Herbalife was sued over 4 years ago and settled last year. The FTC ruled, and the settlement that they had to pay $200 million in fines for deceiving customers and running the business the way that they were doing. And to be in compliant, the FTC said that the compensation plan was unfair. It was hard to make money. They had to fundamentally restructure the business so that participants are rewarded for what they sell, not about recruiting. Because when you start to take a look at a lot of these businesses, guys, there are no real customers. It's just a recruiting game, recruiting other distributors. The company's customers are really its distributors. When you look at the end, 95% of the people that are purchasing their products are distributors. And that's what the FTC doesn't want. They want real customers buying real products. It's simple. So they have to this happened last July. Herbalife had to revamp the compensation plan and revamp their whole multi-level marketing structure. And for the next 7 years, they're going to be audited and reviewed. And that's actually that's coming up, where they're going to start poking into seeing, has Herbalife been making a lot of these changes, guys? And it's serious. So the FTC said they're not only going to publish, that these changes are coming for everybody, that they're going to publish, guidelines and a guidance that the whole MLM industry is going to have to comply with. And there's going to be a major cleanup, guys, of the industry, and it's really already started. So, Jay, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about maybe also what was going on back then with Vemma.
Yeah, so Vemma got sued $238 million. I believe that was the exact number. Serious lawsuit. And again, as you were saying, Eric, before, these companies, they have to produce real customers that really want their products. And that's what the FTC wants, is real customers buying products that they want, need on a monthly basis. And that's exactly what they did. One of the first rules that they put in place after Vemma was the 51% rule, which meant that 51% of the sales had to come from online consumption, not from the customer, not the marketing executives or the distributors. So meaning that 51% of the sales, which is still currently today, what they have to abide by is 51% of the sales have to go just to the online consumer that has no interest in participating with the business. And it has to be 51-49, mean 51% customer volume, 49% distributor volume. And if it's swapped around where it's 51% distributor, 49% customer, then no one gets paid. So it's a very interesting concept. And that is really, this case that took place is a really good example of what's coming down the pipeline for many of them. Now that number will have some wiggle room. I believe that it will probably wind up into the 60 to 70% category, which is kind of where it's lying today. But the point is they want the majority of the volume coming from online consumers. And so it's actually going to be higher than that, than what Vemma was suggested to do. And that's the way it should be. I mean, if you think about it, Eric, any real business is built on online consumption of a product or a service, period. And it's interesting that MLM is the only industry that records their sales volume, and we don't know if those sales ever wound to the online consumer. See, here's where the argument's been. The argument's been is the MLM's customers are its distributors. And that's where the fine line starts to unfold, because the distributors, if the company front loads them $3,000, $4,000, well, to the company standpoint, that's our customer. But is it really the customer? And I would argue no, and the FTC realizes no, it's not. That is an entity in which is still kind of the company itself, meaning that those products did not get down to the real customer. Front loading a distributor is not a customer, and that's what the FTC doesn't want anymore. They want it going to the end line consumer that's actually purchasing the products, not anybody warehousing it.
Yeah, and that's a big point, Jay, because if the products were reasonably priced, then those distributors probably would have a much easier time moving those products to end line consumers, but they're selling overpriced products. And it's like you said, it's just moving to these distributors, and the FTC is seeing that these distributors are getting stuck with all these products. And then they start showing up on Amazon and eBay and Craigslist, and people dumping them for less than what they bought them for, just to move that promotional volume, you know?
And you know, I just want to say this, Eric, it's interesting because then you have these companies that have what's called a buyback policy, and they have 12 months to be able to return the products, distributors. So they say, you know, well, people have the opportunity of giving that back, but there's so many hoops that they have people jump through to send back their products, and then they penalize them because there's restocking fees that are built in, and the amount of hoops that they have to go through. And if the products are a certain age, that they can't be returned. So then that's what you said. Then eBay becomes a huge retailer for the MLM industry. But in the end, it hurts the person that's trying to build a viable retail business, and they can't do that with that.
Yeah, and Jay, that's a big point to the lawsuit and everything that's going on. And guys, you're going to be able to get some of this information at the end with that free download, where you're not going to be allowed to sell the products on Amazon and eBay and Craigslist for less, because the FTC says if you're doing that, that's not real business. You're not making a profit. So it was promotional volume. So they're going to put a stop to that. So just before we move forward, guys, I just want to check in on some of the comments here. Also, guys, if you're finding value in this and it's making sense, you know, hit that like button, hit that heart button, you know, just show us that, you know, we want to make sure that we're delivering information that's making sense to you. And, but Max, thanks, Max, for your comment. Absolutely right. And Tony, you know, and Max also said you always have to replace the people who quit. It's a very hard business. And that's been the problem. That's been the challenge, you know, but the FTC wants to change that. They want businesses in compliance. And when you have a business that has real customers, guys, you don't have to keep replacing, because if people are buying because it makes sense to be a customer, whether they make money or not, you're not going to fall into that trap. So we want to move into the biggest changes, guys, this little segment here. And this really is the biggest changes that the industry has seen in 70 years. You know, there's a lot. I mean, it's kind of funny when you watch the Betting on Zero documentary, and kind of what went on with Bill Ackman and Carl Icahn, who came in and backed Herbalife with a lot of money and bought a lot of shares. And because he didn't like Ackman, I honestly think if that didn't happen, Herbalife, I mean, because when that happened, Herbalife's stock took off again. It went up because people felt trusted. The investors felt trusted in the stock again. So the company looked like it was doing well again. So it's just kind of funny how I would recommend watching that documentary. It kind of really gives you, I think Herbalife would have fell apart if Carl Icahn didn't come in. And the only reason why Carl Icahn came in is because him and Ackman had a little rival going on, and he saw an opportunity. So it wasn't that he thought it was a good company. It wasn't that he thought it was mainly, the heart of it was at his rivalry with Bill Ackman. So kind of interesting. So Jay, I don't know if you want to cover some of these points here.
Sure. Some of the biggest changes in the industry, and like it says in the last 70 years, is no more requiring people to buy in with massive inventory, which is front loading. That's huge. For some businesses, it's really huge, and for others, it's not as huge, but it's still there. Whether it's $1,000 buy-in package or a $500 buy-in package or a $1,500 buy-in package. And for some of them, it's thousands of dollars that you can join. For instance, like a Mary Kay or Herbalife or a New Skin. A lot of these companies, you can buy your way into the first leadership level. Also, personal consumption volume is limited. I think that's huge, meaning that you cannot buy more than what a normal household would consume on a monthly basis of those type of products. And they're going to have that limited, where you're not able to order more than $150 or $200 a month. And if you do, the support team is not paid on that volume, because then there would still be a front-loading component in there, and they don't want that. And also no buying massive inventory loads on the last day of the month, not letting people see their volume, not letting them know where their business stands so that they can't just pick up the phone and order on the last day of the month. Here's what's interesting is that, and I don't know the exact percentages, but I'm going to tell you this, that an MLM company typically on the last day or two of the month can sometimes do more than 30 to 50% of its sales for the entire month on those last 2 days. And that's what's very concerning, because why would that happen if people are really buying products that they really want and need? But why would that be happening if it's the last 2 days of the month? That majority of the volume is all coming in, and that's because people can see what their volume is, know what they're short, because in a lot of these companies, you have to meet certain volume requirements or team requirements. So then you'll have the upline support team members that will encourage their organization to place necessary volume in order to stay qualified. And that's something that's extremely, extremely harmful to the masses that participate in these type of businesses. So that's a big thing. And then number two is no more paying for recruiting. Paying people for recruiting someone into the business. And then when you usually pay someone, when someone joins that business, if they order $1,000 or $2,000 worth of products, you're not going to be paid on that, because you're only going to get paid on the what is a reasonable amount for a family to use of those type of products. So anything over that amount, $200, $300, you're not going to get paid on. So think about that. I mean, no more paying for recruiting is a huge piece, because now you're not even going to get paid on that volume. And then no more requiring distributors to purchase monthly. Auto ships, we talk about at Time and Freedom Team, auto ships or sinking ships. No more requiring distributors to purchase monthly to stay actively qualified for commissions and bonuses. So if there's anywhere in the compensation plan where you have to yourself place a volume order to meet a certain criteria volume to get paid or be commissionable, that's going to go away as well. So you just think about these three things, Eric. Mm-hmm. This is what's changing the game in the industry, because so many companies, you take away any of these aspects, most of them will not be able to survive on that. And you said it before, you've got company CEOs and top distributors that are saying everything's fine. And I think some of the top distributors think that everything is fine because they're being told by the mother company that everything is fine. And I'm telling you right now, it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but it will be sooner than later that they will have to change their model. And here's my question. When they do change, what will then happen? And it'd be interesting to know that answer.
Yeah, no, definitely. And guys, it's with all these changes that are coming, it's I think it's important to know the driving force behind the FTC and why they're making all these changes, right? If you go to the FTC's website, it's their mission, or why they're around, is to protect consumers, to protect fraud, deception, unfair business practices in the marketplace. And that's what they're doing. This industry is, I am so surprised that it's gone on for this long. And when you take a look at it, when you watch that documentary, Betting on Zero, they talk about how I wrote down some numbers here, where these companies are paying big money to lobby the government to prevent regulation. Amway has spent $21.8 million. Herbalife has spent $9.6 million. Nu Skin spent $3.3 million to keep the laws the way they are, because they know if the laws change, guys, that their business model is toast. It's done. And that's, this next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, this next decade in this industry is going to be very, very interesting. Because the FTC, we've mentioned this many times in this call already, guys. They want real business models. They don't want fake consumption practices of the MLM business model, where the majority of the sales come from upfront inventory loads and this fictitious monthly buying. These auto ships where people are just buying to stay active, and where you can see if you've been building an MLM business and you've put up some numbers, you've enrolled some people, you'll see that it's fictitious monthly consumption. Because when the people that are those 80%ers that we talk about that don't do too much with the business, they quit. And when they quit, they stop buying the products. If it was real consumption and there was true value and it made sense to put their money in that store, in that place every single month, you wouldn't have the attrition that you have in multi-level marketing. So, I think the FTC is doing a really, really, really good job here. And so it's, you got to figure out, what's your move? Because, is your company could be next. And I think the FTC is not stopping. And so you really got to figure out how to prepare for the changes that are coming and how to position yourself now, and really, what are your options? Option one is to stay with your current company, and that's totally fine if that's the decision you make, but educate yourself. Educate yourself on this to see if your company is in compliance. Because guys, these companies are putting not only themselves at risk by not making these changes, they're putting you at risk, and they're not educating you. They're not letting you know what you need. So we're going to give you a free gift at the end of this, where you can download a booklet that goes through the guidelines and everything that's coming. So if you decide, option one, that you're going to stay with your current company, make sure to go through this booklet. Make sure to go through it and take a look at each point and make sure that your company's in compliance. And if not, what can you do to talk to them? Which honestly, I don't know if that's going to do too much, because most of them won't make the changes, because the compensation plan won't be beneficial for you to make money if it's not laid out the current way that it is, which is scary to even think that, guys. So let's take a look at how Vemma was doing. And this is basically right after they made those, they were required that 51% rule. Just shy of 3 months ago, this was back in January of 2016, just shy of 3 months ago, Vemma introduced a new model, compensation, that was required in order for the company to restart with the previous plan deemed conducive to a pyramid scheme. Same thing as Herbalife. Following the implementation, the affiliates were paid $30,000. We'll round it up to $31,000 total in 90 days total. So they had 119 affiliates at that time that were paid over 30. Basically, each affiliate earned about $260,000 with the quick start of that new model. Guys, there will be no money left if these companies don't make the change. And that's why a lot of them aren't making the change. And that's why they're not educating you on anything that's going on. They're sitting, waiting to be the next target and waiting it out. And they know that if they could squeeze out another year, another 2 years, another 3 years, whatever it is, they're going to make their money and run. And a lot of them will go and do it over and over and over again. As you see, you got Viseo kicking off again, and after the whole Montev run, and these guys are like serial MLM entrepreneurs. I don't even like to use that word entrepreneur with them, but it's kind of what's going on, guys. So you need to educate yourself, or you can move to another MLM company. But they're just a point there. They're going to have to meet the same requirements as your current company. So the results are probably going to be exactly the same. Again, go through this booklet that we're going to give you, educate yourself, and decide. Look, there's nothing wrong with your decision. If you decide to stay, decide to move, just make sure that you understand the lawsuit, that you understand the guidelines that are coming, and then you make the decision for yourself, what you think is the right move and the right play for yourself. Or option three, is find a business model that's already in compliance with and what the FTC wants, where there are no inventory front loads. You're not being paid for recruiting, where there's no requirements to purchase monthly auto ships to stay actively qualified for commissions and bonuses, right? So guys, it's really, 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 really important that you educate yourself on this stuff, and that you understand what's going on, because as we've said many times today, that these companies are not top distributors are not letting you know, companies are not letting you know, because a lot of them know that, hey, I mean, look at Vemma, BK Barreco. I mean, I see they're open again, and they're now moving their headquarters to some other foreign country, but he started again. He opened up another company and took almost like the same formulation and just started a new company. Guys, I mean, it's almost starts to become comical when you see what's going, and it's not comical where, I mean, if you really look at it, where it's scary, where how many people are actually getting hurt, but comical how these guys just think like their credibility is shot. I still don't know how people follow them after all of what they've done over and over and over and over again. So guys, we want to give you this booklet that we've put together. It's called Is Your Company Next booklet. What you want to do is just comment, just simply here on the Facebook Live feed, just comment the word download, and we will send you automatically to your messenger. Into your Facebook Messenger, we will send you the Is Your Company Next booklet. It'll look something like that. Guys, this is a pretty powerful book with a lot of information that will educate you on what you need to know. And it's just reading through this, it's going to open your eyes. It's going to open your eyes what's going on with this industry, and put you into a place of power where you're educated, right? That's the best thing that you can do for yourself. If you decide that you want to stay in this industry, that you want to make this happen for yourself, that you want to build a part-time business, a full-time business, whatever it is, you need to educate yourself. And that's it. And you might decide that I'm staying put. I'm with a great company. Totally cool. But educate yourself. Don't listen to what's coming from the top, because most of these guys are not telling you the truth. So type the word download in the comments and you will get that booklet. What I recommend is printing out if possible. If not, it's in PDF form. It's a little lengthy. It's probably 20, 30 pages because there's a lot of information in those lawsuits that you want to know about. So once I would spend some time, I would put aside a good hour and sit down, put on a cup of coffee, something, whatever, sit down and go through it. And don't skim it, guys, read it. This is real information. I mean, if this is your industry and you're deciding that you want to be in this industry, this is probably going to be one of the most important things that you ever read, because it's going to determine what the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10 years, and further out look like. So I would make sure that you do that. And then after you type in the word download, we'll send that off to you. Coming in the next day or two, we're going to send you a risk assessment checklist. And it's going to be in survey format where it's online. You'll be able to go on and answer a few short 8 or 10 questions. And you'll be able to answer some questions for yourself to see if your current company, is in compliance with the new FTC guidelines that are coming down the pipeline. Simple questions, yes and no. No, you're really, really simple. And you'll be able to take that quiz, and at the end, it'll let you know, do you have anything to worry about? Should you start looking around or not? Really, really important, really key, guys, to do that. So type in the word download in the comments. We will send that off to you right to your Facebook Messenger. And guys, we're going to be here. We're going to be on live, Jason here and I on the Time and Freedom page, starting now 3 days a week, and we might even increase that. But where the industry is in turmoil, there's a lot going on that nobody's talking about. Maybe we might be looked at as the whistleblowers, and maybe we won't be the popular guys on the block, but we feel that people need to know this information instead of being left in the dark, because what's going to happen is the majority of the people are going to get hit by a wave, and that's scary. So I don't know, Jay, I know we covered a lot there. I don't know if there's anything else you want to
No, I just, by typing in download, this will be the most comprehensive booklet that you've ever heard or seen or have in regards to exactly what the FTC wants. And, letting you know is a company at risk based upon the criteria. It will be the most extensive booklet that you've ever seen regarding this topic. So hopefully you all enjoy. There's been a lot of time and energy put in to come up with this information.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, if you like this information as well, like the thread here, like the feed, share it as well. There's a lot of people in the industry that need to hear this information. There's a lot of people on your teams that need to hear this information. And look, some people aren't going to be happy knowing that, but I'd rather people know it up front now. If I was building an organization, we're sharing it with our organizations. Everybody's up to date. We're talking about this information because I'd rather people be educated now and then invest a year of their life and maybe quit their job, right? And then all of a sudden the FTC comes in and your company's the next target. So I would take this really, really, really seriously. I would read through that booklet, spend some time, go through it, share it with your team, share this post. And that's it, guys. We're going to be back here on Monday at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern time on Monday. We're going to be going live again, talking a little bit more. We're going to actually dive a little bit into that book and go through some of the points. And we're not only going to be sharing information about the FTC and everything on these live feeds, we're going to be talking about what it takes to build a home-based business, the mindset. We've been at it a little while and we've done well with it, and we're going to share a lot of the mindset and everything that goes along with that. And we're going to talk about lead generation, all the moving pieces and parts to building a home-based business. But a big topic right now is what's going on in the FTC, and we're kind of kicking it off with that because we want to make sure that you're educated. So I don't know if you have any final words, Jay, before we close up.
No, look forward to having everyone get this information.
Awesome. So guys, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. And, there should be a little icon on Facebook as well where you can get notifications when we go live. I would click that off so you'll get notified when we're on. Also, we'll be reminding on our Facebook page as well. So everybody have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys again on Monday. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Still says recording.